Hello and welcome back to the alignment. Today I'm joined with my lovely wife, and we're going to be talking a bit about the divinity of relationships. We're going to go into the various spiritual and psychological components of relationships. How do we cultivate healthy ones? How do we understand ourselves and how we change in relationships?
Yeah,
So,
that seems
yeah,
very important. So I feel like in relationships, a lot of people change and evolve and heal. I want to talk more about the healing aspects of being in a relationship and how healing is always dual in nature. It's very dual natured. Unless you're not triggered, you can't completely heal. But I want to know more on what that means to you.
yeah. Well, I think relationship will always reveal to us um, different parts of ourselves which are often rarely acknowledged in solitude. It's a kind of yoga of relationships in
Yeah.
terms of how you bring out certain aspects of the other person and the other person will bring out certain aspects of you, so it can be immensely healing. You know, we often hear about how a lot of introspection occurs in solitude, but there's also a lot of introspection that occurs through engaging with the social world, and there is no engagement with the social world that is more intimate than a relationship where you're
Yeah.
spending a lot of time with another person. You're getting to understand this person on a deep emotional level,
Level.
and as well you're learning to be vulnerable with another person, to expose parts of yourself which um, are very rarely seen for a lot of people, and that can be quite scary for some who are quite insecure about revealing themselves.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's true. That's very, very
Mm,
true. But I like how in relationships, it can also be created as a safe space where the unveiling of these deeper natures can come into play, and that's what I find very romantic in relationships. That it's beautiful, the unfolding of two souls into one, just through silent observation, through presence, through being there for another person, and sharing that form of humanity, sort of human experience together simultaneously. It's very beautiful. But I think it's also very, very important to take care of yourself in a relationship as well, and not
mm,
dump that responsibility entirely on another person, because I've seen that is sort of like a crutch that plays on the downfall of a healthy relationship. What do you feel about that?
mm. Yeah. Remind myself what you just said. Sorry, I'll cut it out.
Yeah. Um. Fuck, what did I just say? I forgot. Um.
Distracted.
The noise. It's some birds on the roof. It's
Mm,
fine. Yeah. I was talking about the overflow of your own happiness and making sure you're happy in the relationship as your responsibility, and not expecting happiness or another person to fulfill you and do that for you. What do you feel about taking responsibility for one's own happiness?
mm. Yeah, I think taking responsibility for your own happiness is something that we should um, have at the foreground of our mind wherever we are. Um, some people think that they can let themselves go or let go of their own self care and
Yeah,
their own emotional responsibility when they're in a relationship because they think, well, I have this person who can do it for me,
for me, yeah.
and then they almost become,
Reliant,
yeah, emotionally
dependent,
dependent
like a
on,
substance abuse
yeah, exactly, and a lot of people um, relate to relationships in a addictive and compulsive
manner.
way
Yeah.
where they experience a voidness within themselves, an emptiness that they think will be satisfied by someone else.
And that couldn't be further from the truth, because I think, like, for us, because we're in a more aware, evolved relationship, we both know very clearly that it is our own responsibility to keep oneself happy, and we know that another person, no matter how hard they try, cannot do that for us, and that brings us peace. So I think it's very important to get to know yourself first before you get into a relationship, because if you don't know who you are, it's very easy to get lost in what people tell you you are, and it can kind of form this dysmorphia
Mm.
of yourself through the relationship. So I would say definitely spend a lot of quality time knowing what you like and the things that interest you, so you don't lose yourself in a relationship, because that is quite a big issue that most people face. They just don't know who they are anymore, but that usually occurs when you've let yourself go and you're just completely morphed into another person, and you have no boundaries, you don't follow your interests anymore, and you don't creatively express yourself. But yeah, what are your thoughts on how to keep healthy boundaries and taking care of yourself while being with another person?
Mm. I think, well, the important thing is to maintain a sort of clear and objective lens on your relationship. Don't fall into certain illusory ways of perceiving. People can have a sort of illusion of their relationship where they see it as healthy when it's unhealthy, for example. Um, it can be quite a confronting and scary thing to evaluate when you have been in a sort of a relationship dynamic that has been slowly eroding you little by
By
little, bit by
little.
bit. Often people slip into it
Yeah.
over little by little, and it's only when they're very deep into it they're confronted with the question like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what were the warning signs? What were the red flags? And often there are red flags, but people
Miss it.
yeah, they miss it. They are willfully ignorant to it because
Mhm.
they think, well, this is the best I'm going to get, or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
um, I think it's important for people to know clearly in their mind the distinction between a healthy relationship and an unhealthy relationship. And this extends not just to your romantic relationship, but also to your platonic friendships. You need to understand when you're in a situation where this person is genuinely nourishing you and is genuinely adding significant value to your life and your health and your well-being, and you should identify that, and also identify when particular people, individuals, energies who, when you're around them, they're not nourishing you, they're not raising you up, they don't care about your well-being.
Yeah.
You should be very discerning of that, and you should notice how does your energy feel when you're around a particular person. Um, do you feel lifted, or do you feel really squashed? Do you feel kind of sickly? Do you feel exhausted? Um, there are various sort of oddly cues that you can tap into when you think of a particular person, when you think
Right.
of the prospect of spending time with a particular person, and you can always use that as a sort of a meditation exercise for really getting into the nitty gritty of your relationship to that person.
Right.
If you think of a particular person and you're filled with feelings of warmth and excitement and a feeling of attraction, then that's a strong sign that you have a healthy bond with that
Mhm.
person. If you think of a particular person and you feel on edge, you maybe feel a bit sort of spaced out, a bit um, sickly, um, scared, fearful, agitated, then that's a clear sign of that the energetical relationship, the
Isn't
energetical
there
bond between you and that person, it's not one that is,
compatible?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not compatible, it's not
No.
resonant, it's not raising you. And I think that's a sort of a simple exercise that people can do for themselves. Bring a particular person to the foreground of your mind, and free associate on your emotional reaction within yourself. But yeah, um, what do you think for yourself are the sort of important signifiers between a healthy and an unhealthy relationship for people listening?
I feel like most people already know what's healthy and not healthy, but it's a lack of courage
Mm.
that keeps them in a loop
Mm.
for a long time, or the illusion of love. Some people don't know the boundaries between abuse and love, and they call abuse love, and it's distorted. And I think that's where the problem begins, when you start tolerating things that are not good for you, that are toxic in nature, but you make excuses for the other person, like, oh no, it's okay, I love him, or it's okay because my love will change him. We've all been there, thinking that we can change a person or love them into evolution, but sometimes you just have to battle with the fact that this person might not be compatible with you. And another thing that I notice is that people place a lot of importance on the other person. For example, like, oh, do they like me? Or I don't know, like, am I good enough for them? But the question we should be asking is, do you like them?
Mm.
Do I like them? Yes, they like me, but do I like them?
Mm.
That really shifts a power play there. It really shifts the perspective, because we can get so lost in thinking if another person is attracted to us or not, and we completely forget if we are attracted to them or not, in this quest for being validated and um, loved. So I feel it's very important to be very clear with yourself and always give yourself all the things that you expect another person to give to you. Because if you're out there in the dating world looking for someone to give you things that you should be giving to yourself, you will be caught in a very big illusion.
Mm.
Um, because you honestly, in the absolute highest truth, you are and you are very capable of giving yourself all the things you think another person needs to give you, and majority of that is just love.
Mm.
Relationships are just an exchange of love. It's not meant to be extorted or conditioned or materially inclined. Relationships happen, I feel, when you have so much love to give that another person magically manifests into your life, because you're finally full. Your cup is full of love, and now that love is ready to be shared with another person. Not the other way around, where you're like, oh, I'm an empty cup and I need somebody to fill me in. I need love. If you're in a position where you think you need love, you're not ready, because true love is always about giving. It will never come from a place of taking, because when you're in that pure high frequency state of love, you always want to share it. But the thing is, most of us don't really have enough love to pass around, and that's just the truth, because we're still healing from something, and that's okay. That's completely okay. But it's very important to finally reach an equilibrium where you have the love you seek, because you are what you seek always. And that might be quite rattling for some people to accept. But the second you are able to hold love for yourself, it will be very easy to love other people in your life, because the baseline emotion is love. You cannot escape that.
Mm.
You just can't. So I think it's very important to heal that relationship with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a useful way to sort of conclude today's sort of episode. I think for the next episode we do, I want to focus on the early stages of love for people out there who are looking
Looking
for
for love,
relationships.
yeah.
I want to give people a sort of a practical, spiritually and psychologically informed guide on noticing and discerning resonance in those early stages. I think that's where a lot of confusion
Of course,
lies
yeah.
within those early stages. And then, of course, in future episodes, we can talk about the maintenance of love and
The long lasting
yeah,
longevity of
exactly.
love, yeah.
So yeah, until next time when we tackle those sort of topics, we'll
Hmm.
say goodbye to everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.